This is Rooted Cosmic Soul, sacrificing the patriarchy from a broom closet in the here and the there, offering rememberings in times of chaos, confusion, love, and belonging. So, as some of you know, I am in the process of completing a manuscript for a mystic, speculative, witchy fiction book called Journey Across Water, Space, and Time. And I have a beta reader who is becoming a friend of mine. And actually, I'd reached out to them in a super awkward black girl kind of way to see if they wanted to be friends. I was super vulnerable and transparent, and they responded in a really beautifully mirroring, vulnerable, and transparent way and said, yeah, let's try this. So we've been becoming friends. And so out of that, they shifted and became my main beta reader, which is really beautiful. And so through that process, we're learning about each other. But we were having this conversation the other day in which we started talking about literal minds, people who think literally in very literal terms. And I appreciated it. I think that they are a bit more literal than me, but in a lot of ways, we mirror each other. And in that conversation, I was thinking about it in terms of, where is this sense of literalness coming from? And then also sort of what is its polarity? And so my mind started going through all this stuff of like, how can I hold the fact that I'm literal? So I'm literal. I know that I have a sense of literal mindedness about me because of my childhood trauma. Like I grew up in a very unsure childhood, right? Like I had to really dig into empathic abilities at a very young age to understand nuances in adult human behavior that I shouldn't have had to understand, but I had to do that in order to survive. And so as I got older, one of my shadow self's coping mechanisms was needing things to be really literal, right? And moving in a very literal sense, because it just was a bit easier. Like I want things to be what it is on the surface. And so, for me, shadow work is not about getting rid of that aspect of myself, but bringing it in, right? Holding it, asking it what it needs. And so thinking about, okay, what does it mean to be literal and nuanced, to be able to see both, to be able to just name what's on the surface of something as I immediately see it and think about it, and then also slow down enough to think about it in terms of the nuanced nature, the many different things that had to be in place for that final literal thing to exist. And what does it mean to be in the both end of that, which if you are familiar with tenets of white supremacy, the tenets of white supremacy is very much rooted in the idea of scarcity and either or, right? The binary. There is no option to hold diversity or the wholeness of something. And so I found it really beautiful that in this time of chaos, confusion, love, and belonging on the planet, in which some energy is asking us to be very either or and to point fingers at each other, there also exists this energy that I'm feeling about the both end. And that, what does it look like? Like, what do we get to generate? What energy do we get to generate? What spaces do we get to conjure when we are doing it from the intention of the both end, from holding both the literal and the nuanced? And when I sit with that, I can feel baby Deidre is like, yes, I like that. I like that I get to show up too, right? And because Baby Deidre is very nuanced, Baby Deidre can be very literal, but also very nuanced because of the way that I grew up, right? The requirement of knowing what a sigh meant, of knowing the sound of the car pulling around the house. Like, I knew how my parent pulled into the driveway, what temperament they had. And so it let me know appropriate behavior to stay out of the way, right? To survive that day. And so I really appreciate that in this moment, in this time, as we are in eclipse season and we are in the shift from an old paradigm to a new paradigm, that those of us who can hold the both and are offering a force against the either or, are offering an option against the energy of oppression, suppression, and control. So I offer this in the hopes that you too can consider, where are the places that by default, by fear, by coercion, by habit, you lean into either or, that you can breathe, slow down, and be curious about the possibility of the both end, about seeing the nuanced nature of that experience, that moment in time, and I don't know, like, do whatever you need to do with it. I was going to say sift through it, but maybe you don't need, like, I don't know what you need to do with it on your awakening, ascending journey. For me, as someone who knows I'm here to help the divine feminine rise again, it is about holding with great compassion, grace, and kindness the nuanced nature of all things. That doesn't mean that I accept or put up with harm. It's actually the opposite of, like, being really clear, like what Venus is offering us right now, being really clear what my values are, of what my North Star is, so that I can move from that authentic space of that authentic self, not my indoctrinated self, the indoctrination of white supremacy, power over patriarchy, capitalism, consumerism, that wants to oppress, suppress, and control me by keeping me in a limited state of either or. That I have the choice and the awareness and the willingness to step into the uncertainty of nuanced both end, with the meeting that with the clarity of my values and who I am and what I believe in, so that I know what the next inspired action may be. This is Rooted Cosmic Soul, sacrificing the patriarchy from a broom closet. The energy here stays here. The energy there stays there. I'll sense you later. Return when moved to do so. Same Bruja time, same Bruja channel.